Guys, welcome back. Happy 2024.
Happy 2024.
Megan's back.
Yay.
We're ready to rock here. It's a new year. It's insane. Obviously, I cannot believe that we are off into 2024 already.
I know, it's crazy.
Can you believe that?
We're a weekend already.
Shook.
And
I'm shook.
Yeah, it feels I don't want this year to fly by like last year did.
Yeah.
I'm holding on to every moment this year.
Last year flew by.
I know.
I still I'm shook. It's 2024. We are only 8 days. It's only 8 days in 2024.
I know.
Did you have a good holiday break?
I did have a really good holiday break.
Good.
Yeah, it was nice to relax and kind of like look around and figure out what needs to get done for the new year.
Yeah.
It was a good reset.
Good.
That's what it was.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
What about you?
Yeah, same. Same thing. Just got prepped. I'm big into preparing and trying to understand like what it is that we have to tackle the year ahead, personally, business-wise. So it was good. Just got myself, in that headspace and then ready to rock.
Awesome.
It was the first year, obviously, at adapting that we did a winter break.
Mm-hmm.
So that was super, super interesting. But overall, everybody in the team did well. So that's great. But it was recharging because for me, like when I'm on the sidelines, I want to run back on the field.
Yeah.
So the fact that we were on that break for how long were we on the break for?
A week, just about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that's probably on record the longest that we have not all been like in a like meeting or something.
No, it was definitely the longest. It felt longer than a week.
Yeah.
I think it's because I'm used to seeing everyone every day. But
yeah, I mean that collectively though, because also like obviously, Chris, you, whatever, like the whole team for like a week, that hasn't happened in years.
Yeah.
So that was definitely interesting. That's why I was running to come back. But anyway, happy 2024, everybody that's watching this. I know we're 8 days in. When's the official time where you can't say Happy New Year anymore? When does that cut off?
End of January?
Yeah, I don't know.
What were you gonna say?
I don't know. Like,
March?
I don't know. Like when is the time to stop? When is it inappropriate to stop saying Happy New Year? I don't know.
I love Happy New Year.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just welcoming and it's like a reset. Happy New Year. What are you doing this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just never know when to stop saying it. So I just say it all the time.
Yeah.
Like I said it at a store this week and somebody was like she's like, it's the 5th. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's like it's still under the first week.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyone watching this, comment in. When is it okay to continue, or when do you need to stop saying Happy New Year? That's the question. But all right, with that said, there's a lot that has happened. Obviously, 2023 was an insane year for marketing, for tech, for branding, and all the different social platforms. AI, there's so many things that took place. Before we even jump in here, what was one of the things that stuck out the most to you this year?
How many
marketing
people
or tech or whatever
flooded to ChatGPT and how quickly it became integrated into everybody's operations, marketing operations, even just their day-to-day. I'm seeing your regular, moms use it for grocery shopping lists and meal prep. So it's crazy how it blew up this past year, but how vital it's been to people's day-to-days.
Yeah. Well, I would agree with that. Also, it's crazy how much it's became a way to like just also in like personal but serious situations, like be a force of like almost like getting you prepared and like cleaning up what you would say. Like as an example, like I was talking to one of my friends and he had a best man speech and he was like really having an issue with how to articulate himself.
Yeah.
And so he downloaded ChatGPT, not in the tech space whatsoever. Like dude does not have an email, which blows my mind. But anyway, used ChatGPT and was like, hey, here's, I've known my friend for this long, here's, our background. Like, what can I say, but short and to the point and under a 2-minute speech. And literally
it created it for him.
He tweaked it, which is obviously how you use, ChatGPT AI, conversational AI the best, but literally it helped him. So it's like that type of stuff that has been really, really interesting to see in 2023. But going into 2024, the one thing that I'm really interested and also just really like fascinated to see how this plays out and curious is, right now you have people like Elon Musk who are saying that like with Sam Altman, right, where with ChatGPT that and OpenAI, that like he was getting removed because something he did was something that scared the board.
Yeah.
And what Elon keeps saying now, I keep seeing Elon talk about with AI and ChatGPT, is that once you let he keeps phrasing it that once you let the genie out of the bottle, can you let it back in or can you get it back in? And because they don't know what's possible, and people like go on Joe Rogan to talk about this, people go on all these different platforms, like podcasts and stuff to talk about this. And the issue that everybody has is that for hundreds, I'm not even gonna try to like mess this up, but let's just say it's been hundreds of thousands to millions of years, humans have been the smartest species on the planet.
True.
So what most of these people who know and are like big tech AI guys, what they're so worried about is that at the end of the day, we are now not going to be the most smartest species on the planet.
Also true.
So
but I don't think we are
terrible.
anymore with ChatGPT out. Like it's
Well,
been
no,
out, right?
But right now, though, what they're saying though is because right now it's controlled. They're saying the genie's not out of the bottle yet. Meaning, like, so if they fully form what AI and can be, that it will be way smarter.
It has a mind of its own.
Right, exactly. So it's thinking about stuff. And they
Scary.
use such a really good example. And I think you'll appreciate this because it's about pets. But this guy who was one of the founders of OpenAI, and he's been in the game for a long time. He's older. He's like, picture it like your pet. Your dog thinks that you are the most greatest thing on earth, right? But all they know of you is when you're around and like what you're doing. But they have no idea what you do when you leave the house, when you're not with them. But they still think that you're the greatest person. And with what most of these AI experts are terrified of is that when we're not prompting this super AI, they're saying less now at this point, 2 years away, that we won't know what it's doing when we're not prompting it. And that's the scary part, right? Like when they opened it for a second in the beginning, it threatened nuclear codes and this and that and like all these crazy things. So it's like we don't know, and obviously the internet is boundless, right? So like it's endless, it's infinite. So if it has access to every piece of data that's ever been put on a computer and can get anywhere, right? Like it's like the AI experts are terrified that we won't be able to control it anymore. So anyway, going into 2024, I'm really interested to see how this continues to play out. But AI in 23 has been a really, really big thing. So on that topic, to jump into our first topic here, I want to bring this up because obviously AI, we were just talking about how it impressed us this year with how integrated it's been into most people's lives. But the one thing that I keep seeing time and time again, and I've brought this up on a past Rise and Grind, is we keep seeing people identify that it's a clear ChatGPT response that's being given.
Oh yeah.
And now it's starting to get like it even happened internally with Steven. I called him out in the one chat where he's like,
did you use ChatGPT to respond?
Yeah, I go, did you use ChatGPT me? like at the end of the day, right? I think everyone's smart enough. And that's the cool part is that I like that we live in a world now where because everybody's obsessed with these things. There's nobody that that's not obsessed with these things.
Right.
Like I like it's so small of a number of people that are not. So the point is that now when people are creating responses or they're doing things and using ChatGPT, people know your tonality. Yeah. Like for instance, that Steven example, I know Steven. So when Steven replied to me with that extremely bulleted formal, I'm like, dude, you don't talk like this.
No.
And most people don't. It's like if you use it or if Rob used it, whatever, like people, you would know, right?
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day, people know when you're using it. So I remember when I was speaking at this real estate event and this person was like, yeah, ChatGPT, essentially writes all my content, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like bragging about how he's using ChatGPT. And then in front of everybody, I had him pull out like his phone and stuff and show us what he's actually posting. And he was so proud of it, but it was so robotic.
Yes.
Like, and I was like, dude, yes, technically you don't have to make it, I guess. But at the end of the day, like that's not going to help you win on social media or help you, get out there because it doesn't seem like it's your voice. And I only met the guy like for 15 minutes before this.
I feel like you shouldn't use ChatGPT for social captions or anything that has, you need to alter it to be your brand voice because there's patterns. And I think where we've gotten really smart as consumers is picking up on the patterns of the language that ChatGPT uses. Like they say delves a lot. I'm sure you see that word.
Yeah.
Like what normal person used the word delves instead of dives, right? So it's like as soon as you see that, that's a flag, that's an indicator. And there's so many other ones that if you are using ChatGPT to write your social captions and you're not editing them to be you, everyone's going to know in a matter of seconds.
Right. And don't get me wrong, again, you can continue to teach it, right? And it will learn. So if you're like, hey, never say delve, like it'll probably stop saying those things. But ultimately, again, like it's just, it's not you. So at the end of the day, it has to be tweaked. And I'm just saying people are starting to notice it. And like I said this a couple of weeks ago. So if people did not see that are just watching, I was in a Reddit, and I was in a Reddit forum, and I was looking at something, and long story short, I saw like somebody asked a business question about like how to like grow your revenue and how to like reduce expenses and all this other stuff. And the response was great. Actually, the response was like so formal, gave bulleted stuff. I saw it instantly, was like, this is ChatGPT, like so obviously ChatGPT. And then literally there was probably like 500 plus comments in it. 300 plus were like literally trolling this guy,
because
saying
it
like,
sounded like
dude,
ChatGPT.
nobody here wants you to give us a ChatGPT response. Like, we're
It's
looking
true.
for your actual experience. Like, what did you do? So, guys, keep this in mind. I mean, again, a lot of us have to, start to realize that people are not dumb. They know, they see, and we live in a very educated market right now, right? People
Right.
know what's going on, so you can't hoodwink people anymore, right?
No.
Like,
People,
it's not the way. Yeah, it's so different.
yeah, people want authenticity now more than ever. And aside from just being authentic, they want to be relatable. They want to feel like you're relatable to them. And
Right.
ChatGPT,
Yeah.
if you're not fixing it, it just doesn't sound relatable.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, so moving along here. So this one's a good topic, actually. This one, most people that are advertising, if I had $1 for every time I've had this conversation over the past like 15 years, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Sure.
And literally, the one thing I want everyone to clearly understand is that when you're marketing on search engines, whether that's organically or paid, versus marketing on social platforms, right? It's such a different thing. Like, they're in some cases
Totally different.
it's not comparable, right?
Mhm.
And for people that are listening, the thing that I want to like make it super simple of is like buying a surfboard, right? So if you're a surfer and you're on Instagram right now, right? You might have just bought a surfboard maybe a month ago. Okay. Now, because your interests and likes and things that you do, a surfing company could find you and obviously start advertising to you because you're a surfer. So the perfect guy, right? And so, in most cases, people do it to build brand on social media, right? Now there are ways to obviously do aggressive, direct click and to try to do aggressive marketing on social chat channels. But over the years, what I've seen most commonly, right, is that social channels, you don't know where they are in the consumer journey, right? They could already bought the surfboard. So I saw the ad for a surfboard, you spend the money on me, and I'm not buying.
Right.
Versus if I'm a surfer that's on Google or Bing or whatever, and I'm searching for, a longboard or whatever type of surfboard, and I see your ad, I'm somebody in the consumer journey who is doing research and maybe ready to buy right now. Maybe ready to buy in a couple months. But either way, I'm actively looking for your product. And so that's why when people are like, well, where do I invest my capital, or where do I put my marketing dollars? It depends how big your budget is, and it depends what your goals are. If your goals are, I need to get revenue in my door ASAP, I need to make moves, then you should probably go to Google. If you have if your budget is tight and it's really like accounted for, you have to plan, then typically again Google's more expensive, right? Google's pay to play just like everything else, but that's where people are searching, right? Now on Facebook, if you have a little bit of extra budget, and you want to get out there and you're okay with people not buying right away and you're okay with those things because you want to build a brand, that's where social marketing is typically the best thing. Now, again, just to disclose that people do both typically.
I was going to say, and you really should do both if you can.
People do both. Yeah, people do both, and again, we definitely agree with that philosophy. But again, just making it understood, because there's so many times I had a conversation with a business owner recently, and they're like, "Oh, I spent like $500 on Facebook, and got nothing." And I was like, $500 on Facebook is nothing. So you're most likely going to get nothing from that unless you're just boosting posts and just trying to get out there, right? Like, it's a different mindset, and it's a paradigm shift, because in his mind, he was looking to get customers in the door now. And when you have a smaller budget on Meta, or in most cases other channels like that, you typically are not going to do great when it comes to ROI on a small ad budget on social platforms, with small runaways. So if you look at it from a different perspective, a lot of companies, a lot of bigger people, in the marketing space, have the school of thought that if you are building a big brand will, outcompete, eventually you doing, aggressive marketing, right? Because if people consistently see you, they know who you are, you're the expert. In most cases, they're going to continue to think about you when they're thinking about buying that service or product. So look at it differently. If you have a smaller budget on Meta or on social advertising channels, use it for branding. Meaning, like, if you have a really good social post you just did, just boost that thing out there. Get in front of people. Target the people correctly. Don't just put it out there. Don't let Meta automatically target for you.
100%.
You know who your target is. Like, if you're in real estate and you want to be in an affluent community, target that zip code. Target those interests that you feel like those people will have. Don't just throw a campaign out there and let Meta choose it, and then you get pissed off because nobody saw it. You have to choose it. But ultimately, if you have a small budget, and you're on social, you can get some people knowing and seeing who you are and a couple customers when you do it the right way. But again, know the difference. Google, hot buyer, hot lead potentially looking for that service or product versus I'm just on social media scrolling and wow, I saw your ad. I might be interested. I might click, right? But I might not because I'm not on the platform to see your ad. So just keeping those two things in mind, it's a different situation.
Yeah, we call it like a push and a pull. The push is on social and the pull is on Google. And it's so important to create as many touch points as you can before you expect to have leads just pouring through your door. Because again, we live in a world where there is so much information at our fingertips. And even if I get the best ad in the world, I am going to look to see what competitors there are for pricing, for offers, for quality. And I'm going to shop around before I come back. So definitely create touch points on social media and then pull in your leads if it's applicable for you on Google.
Yeah, definitely. Next on up, here we go.
Okay.
Google 2024 updates, the endless updates from Google.
Endless updates. And I'm sure this won't be the last time that we're talking about these Google updates, but going back to that ChatGPT and AI concept that we were talking about, Google's algorithms are getting smarter as well. And so many people are just pushing out content using ChatGPT, on their websites without altering it much for their businesses. And Google is catching on because consumers are catching on for the same purpose that you wouldn't want to read a social media caption that was written by ChatGPT. Imagine getting to a blog where you can immediately realize that it was written by AI. You're going to bounce off the website, right? You're going to leave, which hurts their search engine ranking. So Google's next algorithm update is saying, hey, listen, if we detect that a majority of your content was written by AI, we're not going to rank you as high as the competitors who are writing authentic content and relatable content. So it's really important that if you are using ChatGPT to write out your infrastructure, you're still adding in your own personality, brand voice, and of course, your expertise in your business. It's so important. And then another update is that more and more we're seeing a organic search and paid search integration with how they're affected by these algorithms. And moving into Q1 of 2024, we're seeing an even bigger connection specifically in the financing industry. So if you are in banking, financing, mortgage lending, anything that has to do with financing or credit, you want to make sure that this algorithm isn't going to affect you. And it's mainly due to the targeting parameters that's happening on Google right now. So it's saying like, if it's looking at you and I comparatively, it can't favor you for crediting versus me, right? So it has to be fair.
Equal stuff.
Equal,
The one thing though too, every year, and this is the one thing that we see every year with Google, right? In 21, Google had over 5,000 changes, right? Which is absolutely insane in a year in their algorithmic updates. So when you think about how insane and on the ball you have to truly be to be ranking, to be aggressive, and to be competitive, you got to be on top of it, right? And the one thing that's cracking down as well is that they're not joking around with their violations and suspensions.
Yeah.
And that's like a really big thing. I actually know somebody who got suspended because of like the payment and now they cannot get back into their ads account and they're losing a tremendous amount of business because of it.
Oh no.
And at the same token, guys, that's what's so insanely scary about what power Google has is that the fact that this person who started doing it for the first time themselves is like, getting a couple customers like, oh, this is really cool. And then, because Google, it's always funny. Over the years, we've always had this like type of scenario pop up where clients will be like, why did Google bill me $500? And it's like, well, it batches or does this. Like, it's always like whatever. So it did it to him. And he was like, oh, I told it to only take out 200 and it took out 500 or something.
Hmm.
And so he like didn't pay I don't know what he did, but somehow he didn't pay.
Oh, and they'll suspend your account.
And they suspended the account, and now he can't get it reversed yet. He's like trying to do it. He can't get on the phone with anybody. So he went from having a pretty good business coming in, in the hair / barbershop space, to now like dead. Like no, like he can't advertise on Google. So it's just one of those things where it's like, be very, very careful and keeping in mind, because it's not as simple as it used to be where it's like, all right, I'll just make a new Google Ads account. Like now they track the URL way more. And if your website's linked and you built a website, you built all the SEO for it and stuff, you cannot use that website anywhere, right? It'll be the same thing. The same billing details won't work. So if they know it's you and your account is suspended, you will not be able to advertise.
It is
they
tough.
Don't play. Yeah. They do not play games, these cats. So, having that said, definitely keep in mind when you're doing that. If you're in the real estate industry, it's really tough on all platforms. If you're in finance, it's funny because finance, there's so much red tape already on their side. Not even marketing.
Right.
Just on their compliance side, there's so much red tape already. So for them, and now like for Google cracking down a little bit more on it, it's tough. Medical, real estate, and finance. It's like I feel like the hardest ones. Obviously, cannabis as well, and like CBD stuff. But like those 4 channels the industries are typically the hardest.
Right.
To actually like advertise the right way on, because there's so much damn red tape.
Which is why the organic search route is really smart if you are in one of those industries. Really work on your website's SEO this year, because that will help you tremendously. And again, the algorithm is shifting towards relatable experiences. So think about the most commonly asked questions in your industry by consumers. You can Google this as well and get a list of them. And then write content surrounding all of those questions so that when somebody searches it, you come up, and that's going to help offset the challenges that you might have with advertising if you're in one of those industries.
Yeah. And just to even dive deeper on the financial component of it. So what we have here, the targeting restrictions in the US and Canada. So ads cannot target audiences based on gender, age, parental status, marital status, zip code, or offers related to credit or financial services. So again, that's very difficult. That includes the mortgage space.
Yeah, right? It's very similar to Meta.
Industry, yeah.
Meta has the same restrictions around credit and employment, housing.
So now it's like so general. What's so tough about that? So when they crack down on it, I understand the why.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes it so difficult for the advertiser who's in the mortgage space, or the advertiser that's not like in a financial space or whatever, or credit, is that now you have to have a broad general market that you're spending a ton of money on, and they may not even looking for you, right? Which is so tough. So they're making it tougher, and you still got to spend the bucks.
Yeah.
And that's the tough thing. So you have to obviously get with a good group who knows what they're doing. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, make sure obviously you guys just be careful there, because if your ad account gets flagged there, you don't want to be in that position with Google. You can't get in touch with anybody. It's a nightmare, and it takes forever. Okay. And then lastly, this one I'm excited about, guys. So Breaking Barriers, we celebrate 5 years. So how insane is that, right? So Breaking Barriers turns 5 years old. So if you haven't tuned in on that yet, Breaking Barriers is our podcast. It's literally the range of talking about entrepreneurship, personal development, mental health, health, all these different angles of just being a human and how people broke through their barriers. We've had people on there like Grant Cardone, The Situation, from Mike from Jersey Shore. We've had on the founder of the Pop Socket, David, so many incredible people, Tony Robbins' son we had on. We've had so many great people on this podcast. And, one of the things that's so insane, obviously it's our 5 years. We've had now over 25,000 downloads. And we just literally found out like a week ago that we are in the top 5% in business category. And that's a huge, let's go. That's super exciting. And so if you haven't listened yet, definitely take a listen. We've had so many good people on there, and we have the type of genre for almost everybody. So our goal on Breaking Barriers is to always bring somebody on that could teach us something that we don't know yet and show us uncover our blind spots. And then secondarily, we can learn from somebody else's mistakes instead of us having to go through it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many incredible things, that are on that podcast that we just love. And it's on Apple, it's on Spotify,
YouTube, you can watch it.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. You watch the full videos. It's pretty much on everything. So if you want to look at it, we also have it on our website. If you go to Adapting Social and go to Breaking Barriers or our podcast page, it's on there. But ultimately, we're super excited about this. And it's so crazy. When I look back, just reminiscing for a second, when I had on, I remember my first really impactful one was a Brandon Novak.
Yeah.
So I want to give Brandon Novak a shout out. If you guys don't know who that is, he used to be on the show Jackass, and he was always like with Bam Margera and those guys. He's a skater, but he had a really, really big drug problem. And he, like, to the point where on three separate occasions, his mom had his like gravestone and like his affairs together because he was like OD'd in the hospital, like in a coma.
Yeah, not good.
And I'll never forget like what he said to me there. And this is what I was like, damn. Like, because at first, when we first started the podcast, I didn't even want to do it. I was like, guys, there's no purpose to the podcast. Like, and this is like 5 years ago.
I remember this. Yeah.
I'm like, guys, nobody listens to podcasts unless you're Joe Rogan. And and boy, was I wrong, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And but the one thing that specific podcast with Brandon Novak changed my mind on was like, wow, I'm here to not only help people that need to grow in their own lives, in their careers, in their relationships, their personal developments and stuff. But it was helping me, because when Brandon Novak came on, and if you Google him, dude's a legend. Love Brandon, great friend. And the one thing that he said was, he's like, I went through all this different stuff. He's like, John, you don't even want to know the shit I used to do to get money to buy drugs at one point. Like, you don't want to know the shit I used to do to get it, right? And he goes, but I turned my misfortune into my fortune.
Yep.
And I remember when at that time he only had a bike, and like was like obviously still just getting himself back out there and reinventing himself. And literally, like, now he's like a prominent speaker at eBay for all these different things. He's speaking he's like all over the place, right? He's on news channels, and he's helping people become sober. And the fact that we got to get him on, it was like one of the first ones that he was on to talk about like this journey with him. He opened up, and it was really cool. But it made me say, wow, like, everybody is going through something. Right. And he went through hell, like literally legitimately hell. Like, I would never want to go through and even think about experiencing what he did. But because he did it and got through it, now he's helping so many people, get through drug addiction, get through suicide, get through all these different things. So point being is that obviously on this podcast, our goal is to help the people out there who want to grow in their lives, professionally, personally, the relationships, all that different stuff. So we bring on guests who have that subject matter expertise, and that could help propel me and us and our team, as well as everybody out there listening. So everybody, thank you so much. Again, happy 2024 again. I'm going to say it again.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. So happy New Year, everybody.
Until March.
Yeah, until
we can't stop.
Then it's done. I think it's done. Yeah, in January. I think that's.
Yeah, no one shared. That's
In I'm doing it all January. I don't care. I'm going all January up until the last day of January. But happy 2024, guys. Let's get after it. And hopefully, we said this at the end of 23, but now that we're in 24, we're only 8 days in 24. There's 358.
Me and you trying to do the math right now.
Yeah, what's the math?
357.
Is that it?
Close. Yeah.
Is that actually accurate?
365 days minus 8. I think that brings us
357. Good job. Look at you go. All right. Math wizard over here. But so there's 357 days left, which is bananas. Because you know what? Every year we sit here, we get ready for the year, and then we look back and we're like, dude, it's fucking December.
Yeah.
And like, we're shook. So it's going to fly by. It's going to fly by. So I hope my wish for everybody watching this is that you make this the best year of your damn life, in your relationships, in your career. And I'm reading a book again right now. By the way, I'm gonna shout this out. They're not a sponsor by any means, but I don't know if you know about this. But one of my partners in Commodity told me about this app called Headspace. I'm sorry, Headway. Have you heard of this?
Oh, I have heard of Headway. I've never used it though.
I just downloaded it literally last night, and apparently, just so if you're listening to this, if you get a gold nugget, this might be it for you. They always say leaders are readers, right? And it's so pulling teeth for me to sit down and fully read everything. I do it, but it's so painful. But my partner Commodity Dylan was like, dude, just download Headway. I'm like, what is it? He's like, it's literally like SparkNotes, but it gives you the key points of each book.
Oh,
And then
interesting.
additionally, there's a narration version, so it's like an audiobook, and it's a 15-minute narration of the entire book
way.
summarized. So I'm on a plan right now. So the way it works is, so my goal is to read 50 books a month and through this, right? And so that's what people do. So right now, like so far, so I downloaded it yesterday. And again, you have to remember, it's in 20-minute segments, a book. So it summarizes it for you, it gives you the breakdowns, and it takes out all the major points of each book. So right now, I'm currently on 10 books.
Oh my gosh, good for you.
Yes. So now, and my whole thing is, even on busy days, I put it in my car, and it takes me 20 minutes back and forth home. So at the end of the day, I'm going to do it no matter what. So I'm going to read a book each way back and forth home. So that's 2 a day.
That's smart.
At the latest, right? So I'm going to try to do it when I work out, but when I'm being the laziest I can be, I'll only do it on the way to work and back. So 5 days a week times 10, so I'm going to be able to do that, or 2 times a day times 5, better yet. So
okay, so 10. Yeah. Oh, you could do 50. You could do 50.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm going to do 50 books a month based on that. So, but and there's
do you have them lined up? Do you have a list that you're?
I have a whole list, but also it segments it for you based on your interests.
Oh, cool.
So I put like health,
that's really cool,
entrepreneurship, whatever, blah blah blah, parenting. So anyway, I want to throw that out there to you guys, because at the end of the day, like most of us, we don't put the time into actually reading. We want to. I have a gazillion books on my shelf that I've read like half of them, or I've read some of them I read full, but most of them I never wound up finishing because I just get bored. And then my buddy Sal was telling me, oh, download Audible book or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, I have Audible.
Yeah,
I like it.
And I downloaded it. I did it.
It's the full book though.
It's like 20 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not doing this for 20 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing this. Now I get to do it in 15 or 20 minutes. So let's see how this works. We're gonna test this out. I like it, but it's called Headway. And so far it's been good. But again,
your buddy Sean saying until Christmas. Yes, hopefully we'll see. Stay tuned.
100%.
You're gonna read until Christmas.
Yeah, dad chat, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. I'm gonna keep going. I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping. I might even read, Santa books on this. With Johnny, the Spark Notes version on Headway.
Oh my god!
So it's the night before Christmas.
There's no picture.
And guess what? Santa came and he left. Saint Nick came, as quiet as a mouse, and then he left.
Spark Notes.
Yeah, Spark Notes. But all right, guys, happy 2024. The one I ask, I have you guys when we obviously do this, rise and grind. Our goal here is one thing: it's to get out there, to obviously get all the tips that are going on in the world, all the things that are going on in emerging markets of marketing, of branding, and just getting it out there so you can make moves on it, right? So we're never going to ask you for anything on this live show. The only thing we do ask is that you go and you hit subscribe. Or if you know somebody who's a business owner or in sales or a professional or an executive that could use information like this, have them, share it with them. So, obviously you can subscribe on YouTube. You can tune in every time, because tell them where we're live. Where are we streaming from?
We are streaming from YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, as well as Facebook, and hopefully starting next week, Instagram as well.
Yeah, well, we did it last time with IG, and so we're gonna start doing IG as well. But yeah, so all those platforms. So obviously every Monday at 9 a.m. we're here, and guys, create a great rest of your day, guys. Thanks.